Good evening. Thank you very much for watching our program tonight. We'll be speaking with a very special guest. Father Raymond Portelli is a missionary in Peru. He comes from Gozo and he's with us here tonight. Thank you very much, Father, for coming on our program today.
The pleasure is all mine, Leah. Thank you for inviting me.
On your very short stay in Malta.
Well, it's going to be almost a month now. I come every year for this month to celebrate my father's birthday, really, in St. Paul's feast.
I'd like to speak about Peru. Why Peru?
Well, good question. I keep asking myself the same question always. When I was ordained a priest, there's this agreement with the bishop that we should do 2 years abroad, pastoral work as a priest abroad, outside of Gozo. So I chose Peru as a seminarian in 1989. I went there for 1 year as a missionary experience. I was a seminarian there. So when I was ordained priest, I decided to go back, like I knew the place a little bit, and there's the Missionary Society of St. Paul in Peru, so I made contact with them. Father Marcelo Portelli, I remember, was in Lima. He picked me up from the airport. So I chose Peru. I thought I was going there for only 2 years to fulfill my agreement, not for 2 years pastoral service outside of Gozo. But now it's been over 30 years now, I just ended up there.
It's more like your second home.
True, it really is. I got to know the people. It's like a family, a second family.
I suppose when you arrived, you couldn't speak Spanish, no?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know Spanish. Of course, it's similar to Italian. But then I was surrounded by only Spanish-speaking people in the parish I was sent to. So one simply has to learn it out of necessity. No trial and error, trial and error. And at the end,
And what was your first impression about Peru?
Well, when I came to Peru, I went to Peru. I was in Lima, the capital, and the cardinal then, Alzamora, sent me to the south of Lima in a very poor area. It's called Villa El Salvador. Lima is a desert. It's just desert. It's a city built on desert. And Villa El Salvador, which is in the outskirts of Lima, it was all sand and small huts and small houses. So I was there with a priest, a Canadian priest, Gregory Chisholm. I was like his assistant, and a lot of poverty. And in that time, I'm talking about 1994, Sendero Luminoso, the Shining Path, was still at its peak. And Villa Salvador was one of its red zones where the terrorists, their base was practically in Villa Salvador. So it was a bit like terrorism, poverty, and the country trying to get on its feet. Fujimori came in to the presidency in that time, and he started attacking terrorism with an extreme strong hand. He ended up in prison for that, for human rights crimes.
So dangerous times. Did you ever feel intimidated or threatened?
Well, not really. There are a lot of respect to the priests, even from Shining Path, even from the terrorist group. The terrorist group now has practically disappeared. Now it's all mixed up with drug trafficking and all that. I remember as a seminarian once I was taken like a hostage, not by myself. We were all a group of people in a bus. The Shining Path terrorist group attacked Chuquibamba. At that time I was there in the mountains. That was a bit frightening, but afterwards, in the moment itself, I wasn't so frightened. But afterwards, I thought that was a bit dangerous then.
And Father, what convinced you to stay for such a long time?
Same question. I keep asking myself. I went there to stay for a few years and come back. In the beginning, I was always saying, I'm going to go back or go to another place. And then the necessity, the need, I was parish priest. I studied medicine there, became a doctor, started attending. So the thing just settled in, and I feel okay with it. And like I always tell my superiors, my bishop, he always tells me, if you feel okay, so you continue doing it.
We spoke before, and you said to me that you always wanted to be a doctor when you were young.
That's true.
And what drew you to your vocation before becoming a doctor?
That's true. When I was in secondary school, my aim was to become a medical doctor. So when I entered sixth form, I took the sciences, physics, chemistry, and biology. The aim was to become a doctor. And then it was in the second year of sixth form when, well, I started to pray, I guess. I started to pray. I've always prayed, but I started to pray in a real personal manner, as prayer should be. And that's where when, like we always say, I discovered my vocation with all the doubts that I still have up to this day. But I thought God was calling me to become a priest without putting aside becoming also someday a doctor. So I decided first to become a priest and then whatever comes along the way. And medicine came along the way.
So you're looking after people's health and after people's souls also.
Well, we try to do it, at least we try. We try our best. I'm a GP, I'm a general practitioner, I'm not a specialist. I'm just a primary care family doctor. But yes, we see a lot of patients every day. From Monday to Saturday, I attend around 25, 30 patients a day. It's sometimes tiring, but it's very fulfilling, especially when you control the disease or when you do a diagnosis and you give good treatment and the patient gets better. So there's satisfaction in it.
Also spoke to me about how you split your day or your week, where you work part of the time as a doctor and then switch to being a priest. But it seems to me that you don't do the two together, right?
No. Well, I'm Raymond, just one whole person. So I'm a doctor priest all the time. But the people also seem to make the difference when they come to talk to me as a doctor and when they come to talk to me as a priest. So they do make like a separation. And of course, I attend as a doctor, but I never leave the spiritual part out of the medical attention. Nowadays also we know that the spiritual part also plays a role in the physical. So really, as a doctor, I'm always a doctor priest. And of course, my principles, my Christian principles, not just priestly, but as a Christian, are very clear. Yeah, in the morning I work in a clinic, the parish clinic. It's a primary care clinic. I work there from 8 to 1:32. I take lunch. Then I give some classes in the university. I teach in the same university where I received medicine formation. Also in the seminary, we have a seminary in Iquitos. And then around 5, 6, I start working the pastoral part of being a priest, which of course, Mass being the first in the list.
So you could say that people are getting a two-in-one service for their well-being. You could say that,
Well,
really.
we try to give them
You're looking after the well-being.
the well-being, the whole well-being of the person. Because also as a priest, when I do confessions, for example, you know, I feel that people feel more at ease knowing that I'm also a doctor to ask me some advice,
Yes.
especially about their sexual life and all, family life and all that. Knowing that I'm also a doctor, they feel a bit more at ease. I think it's an impression I get. I don't know.
About the region you're living in. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is. It's a natural wonder. I'm in the Amazon basin. Iquitos is the largest city in the world which doesn't have any road leading to it. You only get there by plane. It's right in the middle of the Peruvian Amazon. So you're traveling by plane from Lima, an hour and a half. You'll see trees and kilometers of trees. And then Iquitos pops up. It's like crossing the Mediterranean, and all of a sudden you see Gozo. It's the size of Gozo, really, the city, the size of Gozo. But it has a population of around 500,000, 470,000, something like that.
So very populated.
Also highly densely populated. And there's everything in Iquitos. You have the airport, of course, you have university, you have two main hospitals, you got pharmacies, you got, there's also a Hilton, a Hotel Hilton in Iquitos. Doubletree Hilton also in Iquitos, coincidentally, and then there's the poor area in Iquitos, which are the slum areas, the outskirts of Iquitos. We call them the pueblos jóvenes, no? The poor area.
Irġa segwi dan il-programm fuq Net on Demand.
And tell me more about the real poverty over there.
Well, the reality in Iquitos it's a double reality. You have the urban city of Iquitos and then the rural region, which consists of hundreds of villages along the rivers. There's the Amazon, of course, but there's also the Itaia, the Nanay, El Momon, Tigre, there's dozens of rivers and hundreds of villages. The reality, the life in the village is very poor. The simple people, they're living in huts. They don't have any electricity. There's no running water. They take the water from the river. There's no lack of hygiene. The main difficulty in the region is a double: education and health, which are the basic areas of society, no? Education. Why is education so poor? And it's proven to be poor. When Loreto, Iquitos corresponds to the region of Loreto, entered into the PISA exam, we ended up in the last place. Around just not even 30% of our youngsters understand what they're reading. So we're very low in comprehension and maths. It's because in the villages, some of the villages don't have any schools at all. The other villages have one school, primary, and it's a one-class school. So you got from year 1 to year 6, all in one class, and one teacher teaches all of them. So the level is very low. So when that boy, a girl, becomes a youngster and wants to go to Iquitos to go to university, he finds it very challenging, and they can't manage to enter into university. And even if they enter into university, sometimes they don't have the finance to finance the studies. So they end up farmers, fishermen and farmers, but the production is very low. It's just for personal family use. There's no...
So it's like poverty we can nearly not comprehend at all.
Well, no, it's quite different from Malta and Gold Zone. And then health, that's another story.
Tell me more about the health.
The health in the villages, you don't have anything. You don't have a pharmacy, you don't have doctors, you don't have nurses, there's no medical clinic. And if in some of the big villages, there might be a medical clinic, but run by a technician, by an assistant, not by a doctor. There's no doctor. So when these people really need medical help, they can't afford. They can't get it. Not that they can't afford it. There isn't any. They have to go to Iquitos. But Iquitos, we're talking about from some villages maybe 10 days boat ride or 2 weeks boat ride to get to Iquitos. So the situation is really, really difficult. In the city, it's another story. If you have the money sufficiently, you can live normal, if you have the money.
But the majority of people don't.
No.
And what are the major health issues?
Well, believe it or not, we still have a lot of tuberculosis, a lot. Even though they give the vaccine, of course, but it's not 100% efficient because of the lack of nutrition. Then there's tropical diseases like malaria, dengue. Dengue and malaria are the two main transmitted by mosquitoes, no? It depends, there's a epidemiological spike in sometimes almost all of the population of Iquitos get dengue. I remember the last one was I think it was 2006 when we all got dengue, and that includes me. And then it just goes down again. Then there are diseases, and lately I've been noticing a lot of diabetics. It's on the uprise, a number of diabetics. And all the other normal diseases you find anywhere. But so there's tropical and there's the chronic diseases.
And when we spoke earlier, you told me about cases of AIDS and HIV.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Iquitos, after Lima, which is the capital, has the most number of AIDS cases in absolute figures. And that's taking into consideration Iquitos is just 500,000 of a population. Of course, the main reason is the lack of sex education. Sex education. Even though the government tries its best to promote sex education, but sometimes they don't do it exactly how I think they should. So it's still a problem. HIV is still a problem.
And are you involved in the care of HIV patients?
Well, yes, in fact we are directly. As a parish, 21 years ago, when there was no, in Iquitos there was no antiretroviral treatments. Now they're giving it. But 21 years ago there wasn't. So AIDS patients was practically 100% mortality. They were all dying within a year once the sickness comes out. So we opened up a home for them. It's called Algo Bello para Dios, something beautiful for God. We opened up a home where we started receiving AIDS patients who didn't have the necessary funds to take care of themselves and buy the antiretroviral treatment. We started that 21 years ago. We still have it. It's still open. Now we're attending all type of patients, not just HIV, but we still attend HIV patients.
And what about disease and illness in children?
Respiratory, first in the list, and second, gastrointestinal. A lot of infections, parasites. Everybody suffers from some form of parasite because they drink the water from the river, which is contaminated. And I know we try.
So there are issues with hepatitis too, I would imagine?
Yes, a lot of hepatitis. And, but basically respiratory, a lot of respiratory diseases. It rains a lot in Iquitos, children out in the rain, then it chills up a little bit, and they always get these respiratory problems. And like I said, tuberculosis, pulmonary tuberculosis is still a big problem, a big problem.
It must be very fulfilling for you knowing that you're impacting these people's lives in a very positive way.
Well, I hope I am. I hope so. I hope so. And I think we're doing our best. I think we do. We do save lives. We sincerely do save lives. And we noticed that more clearly in the COVID pandemic, no? Iquitos were very severely hit on a global level. Iquitos is one of the cities that we had deaths. There were days 70 people were dying per day because of COVID. Well, anyway, thank God it went by. But that day is when our presence was really noted, even on a public social level. Nowadays, we try our best to help. We can't solve all the problems, of course. We can't solve them all. But if we could save one person, I think it's worth the while.
Thank you very much, Father Raymond. Thank you. Thank you for watching. We're taking a short commercial break. When I come back, we'll be with Father Raymond speaking in Maltese. Nirringrazzjakom, nerġa' nilqakom biex tibqgħu segwu il-programm. Sa nibqgħu nitkellmu ma' Father Raymond Portelli, imma sa nitkellmu bil-Malti. Grazzi ħafna, Father. Sa nitkellmu issa bil-Malti għax l-udjenza tagħna imħalta ħafna.
Imħalta, naħseb l-idea tajba leja. Nitkellmu kemm bl-Ingliż u kemm bil-Malti. Jew Malti Għawdex insomma x'in ma tafin Minn Għaudex.
Għajt li ftit fejn twilit l-ewwel net.
Jien twilit in-Nadur. Fil-raħal tan-Nadur Għawdex fis-68. Pero ta' 6 snin, jew 5 snin, ta' 6 snin, ommi tellatni l-Amerika, New York, ġifieri il-primary għamilt ta' New York, għax missier kien emigrant.
Iġifi meta twiliet, missierek wara ftit mar l-Amerika u mbagħad inti mort mommok.
Qabel ma twiliet, missieri kien iżżewweġ u mill-ewwel tal-Amerika jfittex xogħol biex iżomm il-familja. U mbagħad kien jiġi kull 4 snin. Għalhekk l-aħwa kollha 4 snin separati minn xulxin.
U kemm intom aħwa?
Seba'.
Seba'.
Jien iż-żejr.
Aha.
Jien iż-żejr. U jiet minn ħuti miet Toni. U hija l-kbir qassis ukoll Duncan.
U fejnu?
Dak il-kanon konnadu. U d-direttur tal-missjo Għaudex.
Allura tnejn taħdmu fil-missjoni.
Eżatt.
Taħseb x'attirakom biex tkunu fil-missjoni it-tnejn li intom ma ġew ħafna qassisin biex kulħadd jgħid fil-missjoni.
U missjoni kullimkien ta' anke dak li min jaħdem l-isptar, min jgħallem l-università, min jgħid mal-morda, ġifieri missjoni kullimkien. Il-ħajra tiegħi l-missjoni Għazna b'fenġiet, naf li jien niftakar semmi li kont tifel Duncan mat-tard kien minn Nadur. Kien jimpressjonani, kien bis-suttana bajda, kien missjonarju kbir l-Indja. U kien jiġi Nadur u jagħmel mill-laqqatu. Kien hemm Dun Mikel mat-tard, assis Qaddejs li wkoll jisu ħeġġiġni għall-missjoni. U bad meta kont is-seminarju, kont għamilt ħafna esperjenzi ma' Sorjeta Mother Teresa fl-Etjopja, l-Eġittu, l-Albanija, mal-foqra.
Ġifi sifirt ħafna meta kont is-seminarju.
Meta kont is-seminarju kull żmien is-sajf kont imur nagħmel volontarjat. U hemmhekk nasib mbagħad ġiet aktar fixed l-idea li xi ninqaddes imur far tal-missjoni.
U nerġa' mmur lura għall-Amerika, l-mama ħaditkom kollha magħha?
No, fil-fatt ħadet biss lili. Iż-żejr, għax kont żejr. U ma rridx tħallini waħdi, però kelli biss 5-6 snin. U tibaqgħu Għaudex u tallet lili, għax missiera għalilha ridek miegħi. U tallet lili. Però mbagħad ħuti kollha ġew l-Amerika wkoll kważi kollha, Barroħti u Duncan. U l-oħran kollha telgħu l-Amerika wkoll ħadmu ftit żmien hemm, però fl-aħħar kollha ġejna nżilna lura.
Ġifi ħadd minnkom ma baqa' l-Amerika. U għajdli x'tiftakar mill-Amerika?
U l-Amerika konna fis-City.
New York, ġifieri. U fejn kontu toqgħodu f'New York?
14th Street, Bethune Street kien isimha triq. Il-ħajja kienet appartament, skola, appartament. Ma kienx noħorġu. U ma missiritna kienu jaħdmu. Ħuti kollha kien jaħdmu. Nhar taħt kienu noħorġu f'tejt fost sal-park, kienu mu skola b'tajba, St. Bernard, kienet Catholic School. Kont abbati wkoll, dik fl-iskola naħseb kienet tajba, insomma jħasseb kont essi kontent imur l-iskola.
U kien hemm komunità kbira ta' uċin?
Ma kienx nintaqgħu ma kienx dak il-social laqat Maltin u Awċin. Kienu taqfti ma' xi cousins li kienu jiexu ftit il-bot mis-City, xi darba ma' Tzija Paola, Tzija Marija, però ma kienx dak il-grupp hekk. Kollha għalina aħna bħala familja konna aħna biss.
U kemm kellek żmien meta ġejt lura?
Mbagħad ommi tgħid li darba għattilha kellha 11. Għattilha jien irid naħseb fil-futur tiegħi. Ma niftax ngħidilha, imma jekk dejjem kien tgħidli. Il-mammi mietet sena nofsilu.
Imma l-papa tiegħek għadu ħaj?
Ħaj, 97 years. ġejt l-Għaudex u nżid niftakar waħdi. waħdi nżid ma' waħda ħabiba tal-familja, ġifieri ma' ummi missier baqgħu l-Amerika. U nżilt jien u bdejt Form 1. Form 1 bdejtu Għawdex il-ICU.
U x'kienu jagħmlu l-ġenituri tiegħek?
Ommi kienet mara tad-dar Għawdex. Missieri tala u kien jaħdem fi skola bħala responsabbli tal-maintenance u tax-xogħol fi skola pubblika. Dak kien ix-xogħol prinċipali tiegħu. Ommi telet u kien taħdem tnadda fid-djar. Mislina. U kien t-negħu jaħdmu jien niftakar l-ommi kien toħodni magħha tgħidli poġġi bil-qidem hekk mix-xejn u kien toqgħod nadda fid-dar tas-sinjura ta' xi familja sinjura. Biex taqla solt.
Wara li ġejt lura Għawdex, meta ddeċidejt biex isir qassis?
Mbagħad mill-ICU tlajt is-seminarju minuri, Form 2. Form 3 nażlu Sciences. Tażi dak li tixtieq insomma, jien għażilt il-Biology. Il-Biology ġibna ħafna. Ħadtu level mill-ewwel. U mbagħad daħlet moħħi li nsir tabib. Għax toġobni, l-ħaġa toġobni. U fis-6th form ħadd Sciences, ovvjament dak kien differenti sistema mill-lum. Kien trid tieħu 3A levels biex tidħol l-università. Fit-tieni sena kont diġà daħmi biology ukoll advance u kolli ftit ħin aktar free u kont nitla s-seminarju ta' Għawdex fil-kappella tas-seminarju. U kien noqgħod nitlu ftejt. Hekk quddiem Ġesu Ewkaristija. U hemmhekk bdiet il-ħajra. Jien kont abbat ukoll Għawdex u kont imur il-mużew, kont sirt soċju tal-mużew, il-mużew għandna ħafna dak li talim. Pero kien pratikament dik it-tieni sena il-6th form li ddeċidejt li mmur is-seminarju. Ma kelli żewġ assissin kbar li għanduna ħafna. Fadra Tervella li kien rettur tas-seminarju u Dom Michel Attard.
Mbagħad tkellimna fil-bidu tal-programm, tkellimna kif mort il-Peru. Tista' tispjega lill-udjenza Maltija dwar il-faqar li hemm?
Faqar tmissu bidejk għaliex, per esempio, tidħol f'dar, fi Kitu stess fil-belt is-sajd ngħid, tidħol f'dar u tara b'xi 4 tfal, waħida, m'għandix missier, single mother, forsi missiera qiegħed mixħud fl-art, anzjan bil-feriti, u qiegħda tipprova żomm din il-familja li kollhom xiklu issajb bil-ħatab biex tieħu idea. Id-dar tagħhom mibnija fuq xmara, it-tojlet hija xmara stess, tkun kamra waħda, maġinaw kamra waħda tal-injam, saqf ta' żingu, jqattalaw lem, jagħmlu biċċa plastik mbagħad. U din l-om jew taħsel il-ħwejġ tan-nies jew toħroġ tbieħ xi ħaġa u tfal joħorġu jbigħu wkoll fil-belt, jibbilew ħilu jew sigaretti. U għadek għaddejjin hekk. Għadin it-tfal imorru l-iskola, m'għandhomx pitazzi, m'għandhomx affarijiet tal-iskola. Dik tipika, familja tipika, komuni ħafna. Jimra t-tifel, ma tafx ma tagħmel l-om biex tixtri l-mediċina, missiera qed ngħidlek mixħud fl-art għax m'għandu s-saqqu u billi ma jħarkuhx jibda jidhru l-feriti, il-bed sores. U tidħol hemm tkun qassis tmur iżurhom għal dik is-sitwazzjoni hekk. Xi kultant tgħid ma tistax issolvi l-problema kollha. Imma pereżempju nista' ngħidilha ħanħollu ssib missierek, jew ħanixxulu saqqu. Jew ħanħallas il-pittazzi ta' tfal. U mbagħad pereżempju it-tifla li tagħla dak il-15 years tgħidli għax jien nixtieq nistudja assistant nurse. Ħanħallas l-kien l-studju. U nħallsulha 3 years study course, Institute għall-assistant nurse. U s-sir nurse, u s-sir nurse. But, you try to better their life in that way.
U kif tiġbed in-nies, Father, biex ikollhom aktar fidi?
Blatti ta' karità. Il-fidi nisranija tinġabar f'kelma waħda li tgħin l-oħrajn. Il-bqija paroli. Il-paroli importanti li mpalaw, pa' madden mpalaw bħalissa, pero għal-ħarġ kollox jibqa' paroli biss. Il-fidi kelma waħda, servizz li tgħin. U jekk irridu li l-fidi tasal għall-oħrajn permezz tal-karità. Il-Bibja tgħid hekk urin il-fidi tiegħek propri tal-ħmiena.
U kellimtli dwar it-talb, kif titlob inti?
Iżir mistoqsija li għamlu l-Apostoli Ġesu kolka għallimna nitolbu. Jien dejjem ngħid l-istess expression bl-Ispanjol jiena, oren como les da la gana, pero oren, ġifieri translated tiġi, itlob kif tixtieq, pero itlob, ma kif tixtieq, kif tħossok. Dan jisim pal-boyfriend li jgħidli x'għandi ngħidilha tfajla. Kifi x'għandek tgħidilha tfajla? Tkellem għajdilha kif għaddejt il-ġurnata, xi tħobbx ma tħobbx, xi dejqik fija, x'jogħġbok fija. Tkellmu bħal-ħbieb. L-istess ma' Ġesu, l-istess ma' Alla, talba hekk, tkellem kif tħossok. Hemm min iħobb ikanta, hemm min iħobb iħarsan il-kwiekeb, hemm iħobb ir-rużarju, hemm min iħobb jaqra l-Bibja, kif tixtieq. Imma itlob.
U meta tiġi lura Malta, jew Għawdex, kull sena tiġi kull sena?
Kull sena.
Kull sena. Kif jħossok għax kemm Malta u kemm Għawdex imbidlu ħafna. Kif jħossok? Speċjalment, ħan nitkellmu fuq Għawdex, kif jħossok il-bidla ta' Għawdex illum il-ġurnata?
Għawdex joġobna ħafna ġifieri, joġobna f'kull sens.
Ovvjament.
Il-familja li kert sajja roħti u l-ħbieb. Għavolja indonajt li l-ħbieb jisu kħat jikber, kħat jibda l-ħajja tijaw, biex tinqata ftit dik il-beberija. Għawdex, joġobni il-kampanja, jemur ramla, per eżempju, fil-bahar, għagħu żmien ix-xitwa, joġobni aktar mis-sajf, as-saċ, jien joġobni niġi fil-xitwa aktar mill-fis-sajf, fil-sajf tonti kien hemm nies u jien joġobni aktar il-kwiet. Dil-kwiet.
Imma tħoss li nbidlet il-gżira ta' Għawdex speċjalment?
Ja, taħseb nbidlet. Ja vera ma tantx forsi niġi kull sena. Ma tantx nara. ċerta affarijiet jisim jibqgħu l-istess. U ċerta affarijiet oħrajn jisim jinbidlu.
U għandkom volontira il-Peru, Maltin u Għawċin?
Mill-istess post, in-nies tal-parroċċa jgħinu ħafna, mod volontarju. Għandha ħafna nies li jgħinuni, fid-djar li għandna tal-anzjani, tal-drug addicts. Però iva, minn Malta u Għawdex jitelu groups ukoll. Żmien il-Covid kien waqaf kollox. Imissa xi sentejn ilu bdew jitelu, bas dis-sena l-sena li għaddiet, telu xi 3 groups jew 4 groups. U issa li sejr lura għakien hemm grupp ukoll jistennewni. Dan l-aħħar din jitelu anke tobba. Jkunu spiċċew il-kors u qabel ma jibdew ir-residentali, speciality, jgħidu ħammur nagħmlu trip Latin America u nieqfu fanfader Raymond nagħmlu xi esperjenza ta' volontarjat. U jiġi għamlu 3 ġimgħat. Għammin jiġi kien hemm gruppijiet li għamlu anke kważi sena jgħinu. Il-limiting factor u l-lingwa. Għax biex tgħin titkellmu speċjali tkun tabib, tkollek communication mal-pazjent mhux hekk.
X'tgħidilhom illum il-dawk in-nies li qed jisegwuna dwar dawk li huma anqas ix-xortjati minna fil-Peru?
Jien naf li ħafna jitolbu ħafna ġbir bħalma jgħidu. U forsi ċertu nies jgħajjaw ukoll tant ġbir. Però jekk mwiet ikun jista' jgħin, tifqux milli tgħinu. Għamluha bil-fidi, li dak li qed nagħtih biex għal Ġesu stess, u bil-ferħ, bil-gost, u niżgurakom l-aktar ta' ferħ li tagħti milli tirċievi. Tejjewx milli tagħmlu ġid fejn jista' jkun. Però infakarkom l-ikbar faqar illum mhux in-nuqqas ta' ħobbs, is-solitudni. Għal tant nies jħossuhom waħedhom. Insaqsejt x'nara f'Għawdex u x'inbidel aktar nies waħedhom. Indunajt kemm hawn anzjani m'għandhomx ma' min jitkellmu.
Ma inti ma temminx li tista' tkun imdawra bin-nies u xorta
Tħossok waħdek.
tħossok waħdek.
Iva, eżatt. Għaliex tant sirna maġilejn, kulħadd maġil, u I include myself, ta' jien ukoll, li m'għandniex ħin għal ħadd U l-anzjan, miskin l-anzjan il-ħin għalih waqaf. Imma maġlin, ma nixħin għalih, biex nisimaw npoġġu ftit bil-qeda ma ġembu la tottanniqa u nejnu, ma nixħin. U social media, miflak ma għenet, aktar għamlitna aktar distracted, ma nindunawx. Ġejna ċikultam tan superficiali dan il-social media.
Għalix taħseb għax n-nis joqodu ġewwa minflok ma joħorġu forsi jgħidu kelma ma xaħat, joqodu jaraw il-social media bħal Facebook.
Ejwa, u nara jisu dinja mux reali. Xikultant, naħsib ħafna jizaw social media biex jipprojektaw xaħġa l-umma mumiex. Mish ħaġa trasparenti.
Anki ritratti manipulati li
mhumiex. Ritratti ma moda żmien bil-AI anki tara video ma tafx il-persuna stess. Għadam kodit nara tal-Papa, mal-Papa mhux jgħid inventaw xi ħaġa fuq. Il-vitanti tittoqgħod attent, ċertu sens kritiku. Kemm importanti ġenituri jagħmlu l-tfal ikollhom sens kritiku f'dak li jaraw u nisemgħu.
Titkellem fuq is-solitudni, nixtieq insaqsik fuq l-opinjoni tiegħek dwar kif is-suwiċidju qed jiżdied.
Mad-dinja kollha naħseb hija problema wkoll.
Għaliex?
Naħseb jista' jkun is-solitudni, jista' jkun dik li persuna ma six ma' min titkellem. Hija problema wkoll fi Kitos, fil-Peru, hija problema kbira, public health issue li ida tu first place. Il-mart mentali dejjem aktar iżdied. Depression, il-bipolar, schizophrenia, no, tam. X'inhu jikkaġuna dan kollu? Jista' jkun m'għandix f'idejja xi studju li indika x'huma kawżi diretti, ma jista' jkun is-solitudni, jista' jkun l-ħajja maġla, l-istress, ħafna stress, aħna stess ħloqnieh stress, l-istress ekonomiku. Aħna stess noħolquh. Ngħid għalija jien stess, taġini waħda mill-ikbar stresses tiegħi l-ekonomiku.
Għaliex?
Biex nżomm id-djaru, biex tixxi l-mediċina tħallas il-ħaddiema da kollu, stress. Imma aħna stess ħloqnieh dan, għamilna d-dinja hekk. Kemm hu sew kieku we value basic family values u biberija sinċiera, il-kuntatt personali, tieħu kafè ma' xi ħadd, tanniqa, tgħid xajta.
Grazzi ħafna Father Raymond li ġejt tkellimna hekk illum. Grazzi li ġejt.
Mulej berikkom.
Veru ħadd gost inkellmek. Dak kien Father Raymond Portelli, Sinjuri, jekk għandkom xi kummenti ibatwhom permezz tal-WhatsApp fuq in-numru li jidher fuq l-iskrin. Wasalna għat-tmiem tal-programm jiena Lea Hogg għal Net TV. Nixtieqilkom il-lejl it-tajjeb.